Hey guys, so as you can see, I'm joined by Augie today. Um, him and his mother are staying with us for the Easter weekend because it is Easter weekend as I am recording this. Um, so I wanted to talk to you about my familial assessment assignment and how that went. So I decided to interview my mother because our professor wanted us to interview someone that is more of a maternal figure in our life. So it could be your mother, your grandmother. It actually could be anybody, but the questions were more like aimed towards a maternal figure in your life. But the professor did say, if you didn't have your maternal figure in your life anymore, or like if they had passed away, or you never knew your mom, you could ask someone who was close to you, who had been in your life for a significant amount of time. You could ask these interview questions to them. However, the problem was I think my mom didn't realize that I would be using her interview questions for a paper. So like the whole purpose of doing the interview was to end up with a anywhere from 2 to 5 page paper based on the answers that your interviewee gave you. So a lot of the questions that were asked were like about, well, first you had to find out about the person's ethnic and cultural and religious or spiritual background to kind of gauge like where they're at, and kind of gauge like how they follow a specific religion, if they follow a specific religion, if they're a member of a church, stuff like that. And then I also asked questions about like what sort of home remedies do they use, what sort of things do they believe in, whether that's, culturally traditional or not. So there was that. And like a couple of the questions, I felt like my mom was just really like joking and not really even considering an actual answer. Like, for example, there was one where it said, how does your religion or spiritual beliefs define birth? And so there's a lot of different ways that you could take that, obviously. Like if I had answered that, I would have thought, bringing a new life into the world, or continuing on the legacy of my family, something like that. What does my mother say? My mother says, pushing something very large out of a very, very small hole. And yes, I like that my mother was trying to bring humor into it, but it's kind of hard to write a 5-page paper based on answers like that. And she answered a few other of the interview questions in a similar fashion, which, like I said, I get that she wanted to bring humor into it, but it's kind of hard to write like a serious collegiate level paper when you're getting interview answers like that. So eventually I was able to kind of get her to give me a little bit better answers. And there were some of her answers that she provided that I tweaked in a way that made it a little bit more appropriate for collegiate level work. So I'm not really happy that I had to do that, to tweak like her original answers, because I wish I would have been able to like get useful answers out of her. But I felt like the only way to actually get anything usable was to sort of take what she wrote and tweak it a little bit into something that was more appropriate. Because like I said, pushing something very large out of a very, very small hole doesn't tell me anything about like your culture or your religious or spiritual background. And I honestly really regretted asking my mother if I could interview her for this assignment because, like I said, it definitely made things more difficult than they needed to be. And I think from now on, if I have a serious project like this, I'm not going to ask my mother to participate, or I'm going to like go over the questions in advance with her so that maybe she will actually provide some usable information. Not saying that she didn't provide me with any usable information, but like I said, it's kind of hard when a lot of her responses were similar to the one that I just showed you or told you about as an example. it's just a little frustrating. So I don't know. I was able to eventually finish my paper. I ended up with 5 pages, and some of it was more like questions about how, or something we have learned about cultural diversity within the healthcare field. And so that I was able to kind of, finesse the paper into a longer response. So I was able to get more pages out of just like a short little paragraph for that response. So I made it work to my advantage, but I wish I hadn't had to like try to finesse my paper and change my mother's answers. So anyways, have you guys ever ran into a situation like this where you had to interview someone for an assignment, and then like the way that they answered their interview questions was just like completely ridiculous? If so, how did you handle the situation? Did you do like me and kind of finesse things so that you could make it work with whatever assignment you had to do? Let me know. I'm curious. But anyways, that's all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys next time.